Welcome back, guys, to Upon a Heathen Path. Today is gonna be a spicy one, but before we begin, let's speak a word here. And it's not just a warning, but more as a grounding effect that our ancestors did not read fate and planets, and we're gonna kind of base off the Meat of Poetry episode that we had, where at the end of it we got into a pretty segue-ish topic. And if you were listening, we were talking about the planets and how they could possibly correlate to Norse paganism or Norse mythology. And Steve and I ran with this one on our own to make it our own theories and how do we see the universe in a more relatable sense to ourselves. But to be very clear, like, our ancestors did not chart destiny in the stars. They were often reminded by scholars like John Lindau and Rudolf Simek that there's a lot of clarity, and yet humans have always searched the heavens for reflection. And today is not about reconstruction, it's just about reflection and pattern, about asking what the planets might be or might resemble if seen through Norse myth, and not as rulers, but echoes, like some echoes in the mist. And to piggyback off the Meat of Poetry, it was never poured from the sky, but brewed from blood and stolen by God and spilled across the world. And blessing some with song and cursing others with just the ability to speak noise or make noise, right? So listen to the patterns and not what the stars promise, but what myth reveals when we dare to look at it from a different angle. Because that's the entirety of our religion, is to always ask questions and to always expand our minds and our horizons. So pour the meads and let words come true. So Steve, how did you feel like trying to research this and your own, what you know about our religion and what our mythology says, and then trying to like put your outside mind to it?
It is difficult,
Right?
very difficult.
I think it was interesting. It really made you think.
It did. It made me think for sure. And it kind of made me like expand. I mean, obviously it's all just theory based and like whatever, but it's like cool to learn like 9 planets, 9 realms. And then we'll go into that. I just thought it was cool, but hard.
Right. It's difficult when we're told by scholars that Norse mythology wasn't based on planets or stars. They're just the gods, the 9 realms. But that doesn't mean that they didn't know, or they weren't 100% sure on what you're about to say right now in this episode, and what I'm about to say in this episode. And I want, like, we're going to go kind of number. I didn't do all the planets. I did what was felt was relative. So, like, she might have done the 9 planets. I did 9 things that I felt were relative to what I was thinking, right? And that's why I wanted this episode to be kind of a surprise. We didn't really talk about it like through the week. I love that we kept separation, so none of our ideas were not muddied, but they were our own pure thoughts. And I think that's going to be a really cool episode. So I want to start with, so we know the sun, right? The sun was salt. There's only 2 that we knew that were relative in Norse mythology, was the sun and the moon. And my take on it, the sun, it's the clearest and less controversial when you talk about what scholars have said, and it's less theorized. It's what's actually out there, right? It's in the Norse Bibles that you see. It's in, like I said, John Lindau's Norse Mythology, A Guide to Gods, Heroes, Rituals, and Beliefs, and then Rudolf Simek, the Dictionary of Northern Mythology. So in a mythic role, I see the sun it's the goddess of the sun, right? That's what we know. She's chased by Skuld. Her capture signals Ragnarok's beginning, or is beginning. But in like a theoretical reflection, if the sun represents life, order, and time, then Sol isn't a ruler, she's just a runner. So it's just a cycle, right? Like a power without control and light without safety. And what I seen, the scholar tie-in with Simek was Sol functions as a cosmic timekeeper and not as an authority. Like, they are gods, or Sol is a god, but other than in the creation of the cosmos, like, I don't recall it going beyond anything than that. And the way I seen it connect in like the Meat of Poetry story is it's rolling into now too, but like inspiration burns bright, but it doesn't always run out. So that like I went through the sun and the moon, and I don't know, but then the moon signifies like cycles and memory and rhythm, right? And in mythic role, it governs months. And so like, there's your signification of the cycle. And we all know that the moon is chased by Hadi and he's associated with the children, time, counting, just again going into cycles. But in a theoretical sense, if the moon governs cycles and madness and other systems, the moon also governs remembrance and the slow counting of days towards the inevitable, which Ragnarok is the inevitable. But the way I tie it into the meat of poetry is poetry always remembers what the world tries to forget. And I was like, this one like made me like bring out my inner like, did I get some meat of poetry or did I get the meat of shit kind of thing? So again, this episode is all theory based. We have nothing that can back up what we're saying. We're just telling you this is like what we thought made sense to us. How did you go about it?
With me, so basically, like, I was like, could the 9 realms and the 9 planets be similar, be the same?
Okay.
But
Which
they're
which
not
which
the
makes
same.
sense. Though, which makes sense like the 9 realms, 9 planets, right?
Right, because that number 9, and like worlds. But no, they're not. Because like obviously you stated they didn't know about them back in the day. But many pagans symbolically map the 9 realms onto the 9 planets. It's a mythopoetic interpretation. So
Okay.
it's not historical, it's an interpretation, but it's very much in the spirit of living pagan traditions.
So it's almost
So,
like questioning or like coming
right,
up with their own thought kind of thing.
right.
Like I
And
see
then,
this, and it's got to make some sort of sense,
yeah. And
right?
again, this is just a theory. We're not going off the lore, we're not going off historical.
No.
This is just an episode we came up with because it was just an idea. But so what I got was their cosmic layers. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So by meaning that, like we got Asgard, and then you could kind of connect it to a planet, which would be Jupiter. And the reason I went with that is because like both of those you have kingship, divine law, the authority, and then you got Odin. So with his wisdom and rulership, so that planet would be the seat of power. That's
Why?
what I got with that
Because of the
one.
sheer size, or
Well, because Jupiter, if you think about Jupiter, it's such a big planet. And like, if you've studied the planets, like, I mean, I'm not a, what do they call that?
an
Is
astrologist or
that what it is? Like, well,
planetarian?
those, but the people who like work with like the planetary, I'm not that. But
Right.
from my knowledge, because it is very divine, Jupiter does mean like in the tarot world, it's like good luck, but you're like strict, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like Saturn, but it's not like Daddy or whatever they call it. So that's why I went with Asgard with Jupiter. Then you got Vanaheim,
So,
which comes with
so I did Jupiter too. Jupiter was a relative planet that I did too. So
Mhm.
I tie Jupiter with Thor.
Why'd you do that?
So like you said, Jupiter is like the strongest planet or like the biggest, right?
Right.
So I see Jupiter as Thor because for like protection and order. Because Thor was always the keeper of order. I mean, besides
Here.
Tyr, right? There's more justice.
Mm-hmm.
Thunder because of the storm that constantly rolls around Jupiter, right?
Yeah. I mean, I see that.
So
I can see Thor.
right, you're not saying like what you thought was like relevant and inclusive.
But Thor is an Asgard, right?
True.
So I just put Odin because Odin is like the ruler of Asgard.
Right.
So I'm not strictly just saying Odin. I'm saying like because he's the main
So
in
what's
Asgard.
funny is you say like Jupiter is like like in a sense a more powerful planet, and I pretty much said the same thing. Where in cultural ties, the Romans equated Jupiter, um, Thor like as in Thor, during like conversion periods, in a theoretical sense, you see where it's more like where Jupiter rules from above. Like Jupiter would be the strongest of them all, kind of thing. I see, like, so like Asgard though, but Thor was the protector of Midgard. Thor being like walks among us and not with wisdom or prophecy and just a hammer that keeps the chaos back for one day. And uh the mead connection I made to like in my mind was that not all inspiration is subtle and some of it hits. It hits hard. It's kind of funny that how you said like it was because of the biggest, it should be the strongest, right? And to the word in the same sense, I felt the same.
That's good though. Like, but we just had different gods to like represent
Yeah,
it.
right.
Which is fine because I mean that's how it is. I don't know. I just think that's cool though.
So what was the next one you had?
So Vanaheim.
Right. Okay.
I got Venus. And the reason I chose that is because fertility, like prosperity, you got peace, cycles of nature. And the two gods I chose was Freyr and Freya.
Yes.
Because of the abundance, sexuality, growth, the light, and basically it's a life of force and harmony. And Venus connects, in my opinion, with that, with
I did that.
Vanaheim.
I did very similar too. Come up with the same conclusion of Venus ties in with Freya. Basically for the kind of the same thing, love, desire, death, magic. But like you see in a scholar basis, in the Yngala saga, where it talks about, Freya rules both sexuality and the slain, passed down by, Odin, but yet teaches Odin cedar magic. And but in a theoretical reflection, you've seen it where Venus is often softened, and then Frey is very very raw. Love always comes at the cost of blood, and how I see that in a tie to Mead poetry is inspiration is seductive and it's never free. It always comes at
Right.
some sort of cost. So I love that we felt the same way about Venus in a sense, because if I was going to pick a realm to tie it to, it obviously would have been Vanaheim.
Yeah.
The realm of the Venyr. You did Mercury too, yeah?
I did do Mercury. I can go to that one. Hold on.
Oh, what's your next
Mercury. Well, the next one's obviously Midgard, which I connected to Earth. We all know why on that one.
Right.
And then for Saturn, Jotunheim.
Okay.
Because like I said, Saturn is like karma. It's, it's so cold. So like hardship, endurance, ancient force, which I connected to the giants. So the primordial boundary testing, like beings. And at the end, I put like that pressure that shapes you. And that's what I stuck with.
So what's the other three figures that shapes us?
I know you say I cannot remember.
The
I know
Norns.
what they are, but it's yes, like well, yeah, the Norns, the fate.
Yeah. So that's how
And
I
Eve.
tied Saturn.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not.
Right, but like, so you say like the fate that shapes you. No, it's primordial. It's
The pressure that shapes you.
right, but like still like it's fate.
Yeah. I mean, you could put giants and the Norns because giants are what shape,
Well, I'm saying like
and they're ancient.
there's a connection between the way you were thinking and
Yeah.
the kind of the same. Like it's fate no matter what. So like even
Right.
if it's an outside source, it's bound to happen.
I like that perspective because honestly, I did not even think of the Norns. That's why I was like, what? Because I would, it's just, what didn't click with me.
So
it's just so weird.
The way I've seen, time and inevitability and limits, you see that, fate resides with Erd, and then Verdandi, and then Skald is not predicted, but structural, right? If Saturn represents time and restriction, then the Norns are its hands. They would be, the way I see it is that they are the weavers, right?
Right.
And you're not warned in it by any means. You have no control. You just weave in it. Obviously, with the Norns, you don't escape fate by knowing it. So that's the simple connection between the meat of poetry. Over the giants. So I could see the Saturn being the giants because of the giant ring.
Because it's cold. And Jotunheim is cold.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I connected them more than the Norns. Just because like the Norns aren't in the cold. They're not in Jotunheim unless they like, you know.
No, but they are cold too. Changing anything that's not like supposed to be fate.
True.
I could see though how Jotunheim would be represented by Saturn.
Yeah.
It's cold. There's giant fucking ring around it.
Right. I think that's why I connected the giants and not the Norns, because I was trying to connect the gods that go with the realms. You know what I mean? Like, but I like your perspective on that.
I wonder if I want like I'm surprised neither one of us really tied Jupiter though to the giants. Just because it's so big.
But they stand for different.
Right. Right. And we explained our reasons on it. I wonder if anyone else has ever tied planets to the realms or the gods.
I don't know. If they did, they should leave us a comment so we can look at it. But you asked me for Mercury.
Yeah.
I did Alfheim.
Okay.
Obviously, for light, the intellect, communication, light elves, like inspiration, sight, clarity, and basically like your mind and message.
Yeah. So
Would you?
Odin.
What?
Odin. Because clarity, right? So it's I can see why I picked what I picked, and then you're saying these very like similar things to what like how I seen it, but I just went a different route with it. Like,
See, I picked it with the realms. And then, like I said, like who belongs in the realms,
right.
not the god. Like, I didn't go off of gods. If I was doing that, it would probably be different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for sure. As I see Mercury as Odin, because it's symbolic. You know, Mercury's so fucking hot. It's
Yeah.
the next thing to the sun. It's the first planet, right? So I see it as Odin is first, basically. I mean, he's not, but he is.
Yeah.
And he's not like, yeah, he's all father and he's the ruler of Asgard, but like he's more of a protector than to the nine realms than he is the ruler of the nine realms, kind of thing. And that he's the first thing there, like wisdom. It's the first thing to hear everything, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's the first thing in line, and that's the way I've seen it. And then, that kind of just travels to the next 8 planets. It's just passing down, kind of thing. That's the way I kind of tied to it.
I see your point on that one.
Right. And then, you know, we all know, like Odin is not a planetary god, but scholars acknowledge his role for sure as a traveler and a magician and a warrior and a protector. But in a theoretical sense, Mercury represents movement between worlds. You know, then Odin is in its shadow or is its shadow, and he doesn't just guide messages. You know, he steals them.
Right.
Right. So, and obviously, stole me to poetry. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But then language itself becomes dangerous, though, once it's considered divine. And like we see in a Christian sense, it's divine, so it's totally dangerous. It's written in red. So then I did Mars. Mars, I tied with Tyr, right? So with like war, sacrifice, and law. And I seen it as, I don't know why, but the Binding of Fenrir came to mind when I think of Mars. It's like that planet that's in its own little purgatory when you compare it to the other planets. It's right there, but you can't just go to it whenever you want, kind of thing. I see it as like Mars is in its own little war between the other planets. It'd be like access but it's a planet of justice, and the price that Tyr paid, well, it was the price of justice, and you know that victory cost him his hand, and an order paid in flesh.
Yeah. I got totally different.
Yeah.
So I connected it with Muspelheim and Suter.
Okay. Yeah. I could see that. The red planet, right?
Yeah. But how do you say it? Suter? I always say Suter. Or is it Sutter?
Suter.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I chose him because the fire, destruction, action, like unstoppable cosmic ignition, and like spark of the mind.
Yeah.
That's who I chose. That is so crazy.
See,
Which is way different.
If I were to pick Muspelheim as a realm, it would have been Mercury.
No, I chose
You know.
I don't see that.
Just because it's so hot, it's hotter than shit there.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, I get
I
it.
mean, I see your point. You're right, it is hot, but so is Mars.
Right.
And Mars goes through like and you got to think Mars was once like Earth. So I think that's kind of like I lean
What's the
into
next?
that.
Yeah, it's the next. It was the next closest thing based on
Right.
all the rover landings and stuff like that, and you see the ice caps that are on it.
Exactly.
So that makes sense.
Um,
But,
no, you go.
so this one's kind of funny, and I think I did it just to be kind of a dick. Uranus, I tied to Loki.
Well, I mean, it is an ass.
That's what I thought. And I don't like. And so I see Uranus as it's chaotic and it's got a lot of revelation. And as we know, Loki is those perfect descriptors, and he's a catalyst of Ragnarok. But I don't really have much to say about Uranus playing a part into Ragnarok, other than it shatters the system because of its unstable state all the freaking time. That's why I see Loki as more of a like he would live on Uranus because he's a dick and he's a turtle.
It's crazy. I chose so different.
What'd you go with?
I chose it for Svartalheim.
Oh, really? Okay.
I did with the dwarves because it's the death and rebirth, the hidden power, and forge fate changing weapons underground.
Okay.
So basically, power forged in darkness. They chose that for your Uranus.
Uranus.
But
I don't know, is it Uranus or Uranus?
It's actually Uranus.
Uranus?
That's how people say it. Uranus.
I've never heard anyone say Uranus.
Really? That's how people say it, but I was always taught Uranus, and I remember in school making fun of it.
Duh.
Oh.
What's your favorite planet? Uranus?
But that's why I chose them. It's like Uranus is like, it's what, the second to last or third?
Sixth grade.
I'm way above that now.
Me, yeah.
I don't know about that, but
I don't remember.
I chose it because, like, nobody really talks about the dwarves, and nobody really talks about Uranus being a planet.
Yeah.
Like, wanted to connect the two. And, a lot of people don't know Svartalheim. Really don't.
Well,
If you ask them, it's not like...
Well, the only thing they know about it, if they do know anything about it, would be, well, the dwarves come from there. And if they really delved into it, they would know, okay, well, that's where Casphere was murdered. Not anyone's fault, but they don't retain that part, right? It's not seen as pivotal information. But I can see your connection is the forgers, because I could be wrong, but Uranus, I believe it's rich in like high dense metals.
Is.
So that makes sense.
Right.
Where all these magical, strong, mythic weapons are being forged. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I chose it.
Okay. Huh.
So for Helheim, because they took out Pluto, but I still would connect it with Pluto, but I also connected it with the moon.
Okay.
And the reason why is because, like, the cycles, memory, ancestors, and it's not a punishment. So, like, rest and reflection, and I put, like, the quiet afterlife. And, like, the moon, I could see it connect with the moon, but more so the Pluto.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's last. I don't care. Pluto's still a planet. Okay, I don't care. It's still a planet.
Every time I think of someone saying Pluto's still a planet, which I don't disagree with, I always think of the episode of from Rick and Morty.
Oh, yeah.
Where the Plutonians are out there mining the planet away.
Right.
Jerry gets himself in quite the pickle.
I love that episode. It's such a good episode. Yeah, because it's like a cycle with Pluto. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's not. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not. Like, it's a back and forth thing.
Yeah, I could see it.
So,
I could see your it being last, and that how it like ties into Helheim. And it's not that it's punishment, but punishment is like Pluto is like the argument if it is or not a planet.
Right.
Tied to that, the argument is it a punishment, or is it just a continuation of life after life?
Exactly. What did you get for Neptune? Did you do Neptune?
I did do Neptune. I didn't do Pluto, but I did Neptune. And I tied Neptune to Njord, right? Well, I mean, Neptune is the god of the sea. Njord was the brewer for the ale for all the gods, right? It's like the only thing I tie anything aquatic besides Njord being the god of the sea. His main title was, right? He liked the water. He liked the warm. Not saying fucking ambient temperature on Neptune is, but as far as like I know as a Roman, tied to is Neptune. Just my mind went to it's got to be full of fucking water there.
It's not.
Right? It's just my simple mind. That's where it went.
See, I went way different.
Yeah.
Because it's actually ice and it's a mist, a void. So it's dissolution. I didn't choose a god for it though. Like I just kind of went with its Niflheim.
You know what it could be? A void could be Gnunga Gap.
It could, since it is the void.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. And it's a primal stillness before form, which you're right, getting gap. That would be perfect. See, that would have been better than Niflheim.
Well, now, see, I'm going to talk about, like, yeah, that makes sense. If it's got its own mist, like, what's the... Well,
Yeah.
There's no planet there close enough to create the heat, unfortunately.
No.
But if
No, 'cause
it's misty void, though,
right.
gotta be Gnunga Gap.
You know what? I like that because, like, it's where form dissolves.
I have that.
That is so right. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
I have that. So, like, in a theoretical reflection, Neptune dissolves boundaries.
Right.
Yeah, Gnunga Gap would make the most sense.
Yeah, I like that.
Nord, you're out of here. You're not in this no more. You're not here.
I would see him more. I don't think there is a planet of water besides Earth.
Yeah, and we know that's where that ties.
And that's just not. He doesn't fit. No.
Well, he didn't fit in.
But
he didn't fit in with his marriage with Dan.
I'll let you guess it.
Well, because they lived in two different. Oh, bugger.
No wait.
Anyways. Well, I saw it, but the mead connection I made though is the intoxication and inspiration that shares.
You talking about Scotty?
Same. Scotty, yes. Thank you. Yes.
Sorry. I was trying to let you in the nose. But yeah.
Yes, Scotty. Yeah. But that makes sense though to tie Neptune more to a realm, well not even a realm, but a
void.
Yeah, a cosmic void that we know, right?
Right.
And again, to be clear, like this is just symbolic theology that we both came up with, and it's not obviously historical mapping. We have no proof in what we're saying and anything like that, but scholars like Lindahl and Steinbeck, who I use to source my stuff in this episode, that remind us that again, the Norse didn't look for planets to fate, but never disappears. It just reappears in different mirrors in different ways and different images. And
right.
To close this out and how we tied this in with the meat of poetry and kind of blended all in, besides what we've already talked about, is the planets may circle in silence, but the Norse gods, they did bleed, they drank, they laughed, they burned with inspiration that wasn't written in stars, and it spilled from a cup and paid for or paid in full. That is it for this episode. We will see you guys next time. Bye.